Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Committed. Today, we're bringing you guys one of the best head coaches in the St. Louis area, head coach Ken Turner of St. Mary's. With no further ado, he can also introduce himself as well.
Hello, my name is Ken Turner, and I'm the head football coach at St. Mary's High School. And I've been coaching football for several years, and I'm here to talk on committed.
So, to start, Coach Turner, we typically ask this question with everyone. When you hear committed, and this would be a very different episode with you being a coach. So, this perspective means a lot, and there's a lot of kids out there who probably have their own definition of this word. But to you as a coach, producing tons of the best athletes coming out of St. Louis and on the college level, what does committed mean to you as a coach, as a leader, as a role model, and things of what does committed mean to you as a man and a coach and all and so many different
What it
perspectives.
means, like to me, is like doing everything possible to get ahead, doing everything the right way to get ahead. Harnessing your craft, no matter what it is. In the real world, in sports, in family, just doing everything possible to make sure you're a positive person and helping others.
Okay, and you mentioned one thing you mentioned there was getting ahead. I want to ask you something because clearly, your path has been on being a coach has gotten you far. You guys won state last year. Can you kind of walk us through the start of the year and how that year looked for y'all? Were you guys expecting to win state? Um, Kind of just a lot the adversity you guys went through, teams looking down on y'all. Y'all St. Mary's. Not a lot of people probably know that St. Mary's is a powerhouse for football now. So can you kind of give us that spiel and like how that year went for y'all and how it felt to win state?
Yes, well, it actually started that year before. My first year there was like the COVID year, and so we had lost our season, sorry, to COVID, and so it hurt the guys, the younger guys that played, and our seniors had to end their season and they couldn't play anymore. So going into that off season, we kind of had this motto of like, we need to get through. We felt good about that year, like in the playoff run, that we can do something special that year, but it was still new. Going into the next year, us as an organization, as a team, we felt like we can win it all. But it doesn't make sense, like I tell the guys, to talk about it unless you do it. And so us going out and saying that we can do this and we can do that, it really didn't matter. So I told them it doesn't matter what the people think either, because people are just like, be honest with you, fans. You know, they go out and they cheer for who they want to cheer for. So only people knew what we had was us internally. And so we went through the season, and we had lost our quarterback and one of our key starting receivers for the first 3 games, and so we didn't have them. So not having your quarterback is huge. That's the big adversity we started off with, and so we put our best player, Kevin Coleman, at quarterback, and he did a good job, and we ended up going 2-1, and we lost to a Nico Valley school that a large 8A school in Illinois. That's a top 5 8A school, so 3,700 kids. So but that game grew us and brought us in as a family. A lot of things went wrong, and internally, and guys upset and not understanding how to handle adversity that game. So we grew so much from that game, and that game kind of like started our season over, and we got our quarterback back, and it just catapulted us to win the state title. And so I don't think anything stopped these guys mentally, because we talk every day about adversity. Adversity is something that you have to handle. You as a kid, me as an adult, we have to handle adversity, no matter if it's on the field, but more off the field, at school, everywhere. So that's instilled in them, and I don't think anything bothers them right now. I think that we got the mindset in our program to where things are going to happen, but in a game, on the field, off the field. People gonna get hurt. We went to Trinity this weekend. We didn't have 4 or 5 starters, but that's life. Something gonna happen in life where you're not gonna have somebody do something for you, and you're gonna have to step up and do it yourself. And so we built all of that on, and we built that character, and that character is instilled in our program right now. And so going back to last year, I just felt like we were so strong and so dominant because of what was built from the year before, because of what we built going into that year. And we went through the playoffs, and we ended up winning the state championship last year.
how do you deal with the politics that are involved with coaching, whether that's having to determine starters because everybody wants to start, or having to deal with parents who think that their children should be starting? So can you kind of tell us about that environment and explain that for us?
Okay, it starts with what type of culture do we have, first of all. You want to put your culture out there, and then your parents and the kids, they have to buy into your culture. And when having that culture, like, we start off every year we have a lock in. And right before the first practice, we have a lock in and the guys come in and we stay all day and we go over all situations, man, what it takes to be a dragon, what it takes to start, grade point average, everything. And then our AD will talk during that day. And then I bring the parents in. We have a parent meeting. And so during that time, everything that's explained and handed out to the kids about this culture that we're building is given to the parents. And so, it's explained in there. Everybody's not going to start. Everybody can't start. And but just because you're a starter or not a starter doesn't mean that you don't have a important role on this football team. So you kind of go through and explain and you try to go through and give them the information that this is my culture for my football team. And this is the culture that we're going to go by. Now, come on, we understand that everybody's not out. Every parent's out there and, they all have a kid out there, and the important number one thing is their kid. And so I understand that. Some parents teach kids the culture but some don't. A lot of these guys have, been really good players since they've been 5 or 6 years old. But the bigger the more you go up, the higher you go, then there's more successful people. All right. You could have been a great player on your little league team, but now you go to like a junior high or middle school where now you're playing with a little bit better players. Okay. You might be the best player there. And then you get to high school. So now when you get to high school, a lot of great players. So as you evolve and the higher you go at this sport, then it's gonna be better kids. It's gonna be better young men. And so at some point in time, you might not start. Just like at some point in time, it stops for everybody. So me understand that as a head coach, then you kind of explain that to your parents. And so we film everything. It's been an issue where, sometimes that there is questions. You answer the question, well, your kid's not doing A, he's not doing B, he's not doing C. That's why he's not starting. And there's a couple kids before him that is starting. That doesn't please every parent. Okay. So, you know, some parents come out to practice, it's okay. And then, but some that don't and have those questions, there's film. We play games. We have huddle now. Everything is out there. They can look at their kids' huddle and then look at their kids' game, look at their kids' film, look at their kids' practice. We film every practice. So you can see what's going on and what's not going on. And then, the one thing I always tell them that, I like to win football games. So I'm gonna put the best product on the field. Regardless, I'm not, it's no favoritism. Each kid is different, but we're all a team. And so we all trying to get the same common goal. And that's on a Friday night to win a football game together. And so you explain it that pleases some and that doesn't please everybody. But everybody has to buy into your culture or your culture won't work. And so you have different avenues. To go back to it, I have different avenues to show them. And if they're not believing then maybe, maybe they just don't want to buy into your culture. And that happens sometimes. That happens. You can't win everybody. I try. I try. But you're not going to win everybody over. And so only thing you can do is continue to do everything that you feel like you're doing well. And if they want to be a part of the culture, then they're a part of the culture. And if they're not, then hey, maybe your culture's not for them. And so as long as we're being successful, we're gonna continue our culture because we believe our culture works. And so then that's how you handle it.
Recently, there's been some news with St. Mary's. We definitely we'd love for you to give us, well, to one, go into pretty much what's going on at St. Mary's right now. And can you kind of tell us how you are still keeping this mode together and building this camaraderie and building this powerhouse, and how that's impacted by what's going on with St. Mary's now and the state of the school and just that whole environment and how that impacts you, the guys, and just how you feel about that.
Okay, to start off with, obviously when we heard it was, you know, terrible news for, everybody that's involved at St. Mary's. And so Mike England is a great president, and they got a group together, and they're working on things. I don't want to speak on his behalf because that's his thing, and he's going to do a great job. And I'm gonna say this way: we believe in him, and he's going to work as harder than anybody possible to keep the school open. And I believe in his work. You know, I only been here for 3 years, but I believe in his work, and he's a great man. He works extremely hard, and you know he gets things done. So the state of it, as far as from my standpoint, as far as a head football coach, and going back to the kids in the school and the faculty in the school, I think they believe also that the job's going to get done. So, but to go back to me as a head coach, when we heard and we were getting ready for a football game, and you know, it's adversity. And had I not preached that from day one, then I don't even think my guys they understand that this is us being together is so huge, and practicing every day and getting ready for a game on Friday night that, you know, yes, we care deeply. We want the school to stay open, but we put that in Mr. England's hands because he does a great job at that. We can handle what we can handle, and that's on the football field. On the football field, we have to handle that. We can't let adversity slip in no matter what kind of adversity it is. It could be the worst adversity in the world, just like life. It's going to be terrible things happen in all of our lives, but we have to deal with them. We have to. We can't just sit back. So we went in, we huddled up, and we're ready to go. We're ready to go. And so when we're at practice and when we're playing on Friday night, I don't think it's too much for us to think about and being locked in within our game and our scheme and getting ready for these teams to even think about anything else. We have to think about what we have to do Friday night. So, it's so important, the news that came out to everybody, but it's so important to us that we do what we need to do to win on Friday nights. And so COVID, players being out, losing players, all of that's adversity. You know, Somebody might lose a parent, you might lose a loved one. Everything's happened during the course of these years. But if we dwell on that and then we don't win on Friday, then how do we feel? Now you're totally frustrated. So handle what you can handle. We care so much about what's going on, but you know what? Let's put this together and win Friday. Let's put it together and win Friday. And let's handle this Friday in a different thing because this can be some great news. See what I'm saying? This can be great for all of us, for the community, for our school. So let's handle this and let the guys that's in charge of this deal with this over here. And we help where we can over here. But on Friday nights, we got the chance to make everybody in that school happy that feels upset about that news. Everybody in this community that's upset about that news. We have the power to make them happy. And so that's our job, to block out the adversity and get it done.
Well, we've clearly, the community, people in the community, people outside of the community, clearly see what you've built at St. Mary's. Just the guys going to the next level, their maturity, even just the kids that are there now, how highly they speak of you. Have you always had this gift for coaching, or at what point did you realize or stop and say, I'm going to coach? And then at what point did you realize, clearly you've got 100 wins, you're a decorated coach, state title, but at what point did it click for you at what point in your career where you did that light come on and you realize I'm great at coaching. I'm just not an average coach. Like this is my calling.
Um, Probably when I was over at Althoff, and I followed up a Hall of Fame coach, Coach Shot, and so 3 state titles, and he's doing everything the right way, and so the more and more he really the reason I started coaching football. Like he just called me and he was like, "You coaching receivers? See you tomorrow." He didn't ever ask me anything. So once that started and I started seeing how a real football program it grows, and obviously playing at East St. Louis, Coach Shannon, another great coach. So I've been fortunate to be around great coaches. So then when I started coaching, then my dad was my coach in baseball since I was 5. So and he was a great coach. So it's just led up to am I going to do this? And so I started coaching, and once I started coaching, it's like, if I'm gonna do it, I want to be the best, man. I want my teams to be the best, and so ever since a kid, I hadn't really lost much as a kid, and so I'm competitive, and I just want to, I want to win games, and so once I start coaching, I never really thought about, none of the other things. Just like learning how to win. As a young coach, sometimes you don't know how to win. It's winning's not the end all. You gotta do some things to win. And so doing things to win and understanding how everything goes in on a day by day basis is what excited me and what I learned early on because I was fortunate enough to have great coaches in my life. And so once I started over there, I'm back to Althoff. I think that, once we were start becoming good again over there and on the chance to go win state championships as a young assistant coach, then my drive just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I always looked at those guys and, going to state championships and, winning some. So obviously, that's the goal. That was my goal. That I wanna play on a high. I want to coach my guys to a high level. I want coach my guys to state champion. And so over there as a head coach, I lost 2, and so coming over here, same thing. I thought they had some good pieces, really good pieces, and I felt like I could add to it, and we can become what we're becoming. And so it's just like to strive for greatness, and it started back then, and when I was a young assistant, and when I finally took over, and I wanted to see what it felt like to win playoff games. That's how I started. Then as a head coach, and I wanted to see what it felt like to make it to the state championship. Then we did that twice. Then over here, I'm like, man, I got to win it. And so then we got over here, we came together, got great. You got to have great assistant coaches too, and we won last year, and I just the drive don't stop. So and like now it's like, hey man, erase that. Let's go day by day and see if we can do this again. And but understand the process. A lot of people don't understand the process. You don't just jump to the state championship because you can get beat like that easily, and your kids can't just jump to the state championship. So my drive came from those guys, and I've been so blessed to have a lot of great coaches in my life. So blessed, and so that's where I'm driven, man. I'm driven. I just, I can't look forward. We just lost this past week and to a great program. And I can't wait till tomorrow to get to practice to correct what we didn't do last week and get this thing rolling back, get the ship back going. And so that's what drives me. Those guys being great and me having the chance to do great things, it just drives me so much.
And then you mentioned something there. You mentioned this weekend y'all played a great program. Clearly you're a great coach. You coach a great high school. And one thing you have mentioned throughout this entire interview is adversity. Can you kind of illustrate the adversity that came with that loss, who that team was, and how you continue to challenge not only your players but yourself as a great coach? You mentioned y'all played DeSmet. most schools that go win state, they don't want to go play them schools. They don't want to go travel to Kentucky to play a Kentucky powerhouse with 27 state championships. They don't want to play DeSmet that's producing kids like Deron Neal. So can you kind of tell us the excitement that comes with that adversity and why that is so important to keep challenging yourself and just other ways that you challenge yourself, even if it's playing these schools, or how you challenge yourself in that adversity and the importance of that?
Okay, well, it starts with how good do you want to be as a program, and now you do things that you can do, and you do things that's going to improve you as a program. And so when I came over and I finally saw that I got some good guys. I got some good guys, and so but I felt like they were unsure because they were so young in the process of winning consistently if they could win big games. So I want to take it and take those guys and give them an opportunity. See, in Missouri, man, everybody goes to the playoffs. So in Illinois, you got to win 6 games to ensure that you're in the playoffs. So scheduling anybody in Illinois, people don't do. But over here, we're going to the playoffs. So if we're good as we think we are, why not play the best programs? You play the best programs, it's only going to make you better when the playoffs comes. And so going to play Trinity last year, we didn't know all of us together, as this team, we didn't know what to expect. And so, we were able to beat them last year. And that's a school with 1,400 boys. And we know we don't have that many boys compared to that. And so at all. And so being able to do that, and so we just went there last week, and they kind of they got back. We didn't play well enough, and they played good. And so we lost, but that's adversity. Can you bounce back?
Just before we let you go, I know we're wrapping things up here, Coach Turner. Um, you mentioned getting ready for the future these next couple of weeks. One thing I definitely want to ask you is what are your goals, or what are your 3 up and coming goals? Whether it's this season, next season, what are just 3 goals that you have as a coach? You can give me one for this season or 2 for this season, and then just I guess a long term one as a coach.
Okay. Um, Obviously, number one goal is to win state. That's number one goal is to win state. But saying that goal is understanding that I can't even see past Friday night against Luther North. I can't see it. That's the only things on my mind right now is we have to get ready to play Luther North. Now, the goal, the long term goal, yes, is to win state. And the next goal for the team is afterwards having all these guys have their dreams come true, having them be able to go play college football, because it's a lot of guys on this team that's deserving to play college football. So I want all of them to have that opportunity. And I shouldn't say dreams because they're good enough to do it. So their opportunity to play college football. And so that's my second one. And the third one, what did we say the third one was?
Just like the long term one for you as a
Okay.
coach.
Man, just continue to coach kids and whatever the Lord has in his plans for me, man. That's it, man. Wherever, I didn't think I'd be at St. Mary's, and I'm at St. Mary's. So whatever he has in store for me, man, that's I just want to follow his plans and do it the right way. And that's pretty much it.
And before we let you go, my final question might be everybody's favorite question, but clearly you're a coach. Could be NFL, college, high school, little league. Who are your top three coaches right now, and why? It could be NFL, it could be one of your coaches, but the top 3 coaches that you have read about, learned about, or saw in action, or that inspired you.
Here it is. All right. And you probably think I'm gonna go a different way, but I'm gonna say Bob Shannon from East St. Louis, because man, he was a winner, and that word adversity that I always talk about, we went through it in high school, and watching how tough he was on us and on everybody that went through, it motivates you to be a man. Number 2 is Glenn Schott, the coach I coached under at Althoff. when I was an assistant, and one of the greatest men I ever met in my life. And, molded me football. I don't know, these guys are state champion winners. But as far as how to be at home with my wife and my kids, understanding that, hey, you know, you got to take care of home and take care of football. And, you know, him teaching me all those things, plus the thousands of things I learned from him in football, he's another one. And the last one is probably number one is my dad. And, my dad coached me since I was 5, and he coached a lot of us, man, and it's probably a few of us went on to be really good high school coaches too. And so, he never got to see none of this because he passed. And so, I just always hope that he's seeing what he instilled in me, that he's happy that I took it to another level. And a lot of people, like, I have a towel before every game, and when I go in pregame, and I'm probably shouldn't be sharing this. A lot of people don't know. They probably think I just walk out with a towel, but my dad used to have a towel every day. He coached, and he coached at third base. He's coaching us baseball, and so he had a towel. Like the guys that play with us and me, they know. And so I go out every game in pregame with a towel, and that's to resemble my dad because man, my dad, he instilled everything in me, man. And what I am as a man, number one, comes from him. You see what I'm saying? And so, and everything as a coach, watching how he molded us as kids and how he was harder on me than anybody else because I was his kid, but I didn't understand that as a kid. And so, watching how many of my teammates went on to be great men, and first thing they say, they talk about my dad. So he was a perfect role model, not just for his own kid, but for a bunch of kids that he coached as. And so he my number one, man. And so those three, they sparked me the most, man. And those three is pretty much all the mental stuff in my head that I need to go on to be a successful coach.
Well, there you have it, guys. Coach Turner. Not only is he a coach, he's a father, a role model, a leader in the community, and so much more. We definitely appreciate your time today, Coach Turner, and good luck on that state title.